She's craving you, thinking about you, wanting nothing more than to be with you. And that's exactly why she's pulling away. Every woman has this twisted psychological trigger that makes us sabotage what we want most. I know because I've done this to men I was crazy about. I'm a woman exposing the dark psychology we don't want you to understand. You felt it, everything's perfect, then suddenly she goes cold. You're left wondering what you did wrong. What if you did nothing wrong? What if she's pulling away because you did everything right? I'm about to reveal 13 psychological triggers that make women sabotage connections they crave most. By the end of this, you'll understand her twisted psychology better than she does. You'll know exactly why she runs when she should stay, and how to handle it like the strong man she's hoping you are. Number 1, the vulnerability terror. This is the fear that drives everything else, and it's the reason she'll sabotage a good thing before it even starts. We're absolutely terrified of being seen as needy, desperate, or weak. The moment we feel ourselves falling for you, alarm bells start ringing in our heads. I remember doing this to a guy I was completely crazy about. We had this amazing connection. I couldn't stop thinking about him, and that scared the hell out of me. So what did I do? I started acting distant. I stopped texting back quickly. I made myself unavailable because showing him how much I wanted him felt like handing him a weapon to destroy me. Here's what's happening in our minds. Vulnerability equals danger. We've been taught that the person who cares less has the power, so showing you how much we're falling for you feels like giving up all our control. We'd rather seem uninterested than risk looking pathetic. It's twisted, but we'll literally torture ourselves to avoid appearing vulnerable. So when she starts pulling back, don't chase her. Don't bombard her with texts asking what's wrong. Instead, give her space while staying consistent. Send one calm message acknowledging the distance without desperation. I notice you seem to need some space. That's okay. I'm here when you're ready. Then back off completely. When you don't punish her for needing space, when you don't make her withdrawal about you, something magical happens. She realizes you're not going to use her feelings against her. The vulnerability terror starts to fade because you've proven you can handle her real emotions without becoming needy or controlling. But here's where most men mess this up completely. Number 2, the loss prevention protocol. This is where our minds get really twisted. We operate on this sick logic that you can't lose something you never fully had. So the closer we get to having you completely, the more we need to create distance to protect ourselves from the inevitable loss. I've literally sabotaged relationships right when they were getting serious because I was terrified of losing them. I remember this one guy. We were talking about moving in together. Everything was perfect, and I panicked. I started picking fights, creating problems that didn't exist, because in my mind, if I controlled the distance, I controlled the potential pain. We convince ourselves that if we keep one foot out the door, the eventual heartbreak won't destroy us. It's like emotional insurance. We'd rather have you at 70% and feel safe than have you at 100% and risk losing everything. We'll create artificial barriers, keep dating apps active, maintain backup options, anything to avoid being completely invested. Your move? Don't try to convince her to be all in. Don't make ultimatums or demand commitment. Instead, maintain your own emotional consistency regardless of her hot and cold behavior. Show up the same way whether she's being distant or affectionate. Be the steady presence that doesn't fluctuate based on her emotional thermostat. When she realizes her distance games don't affect your energy or commitment level, the protocol breaks down. She starts to understand that your feelings aren't conditional on her performance, and that security allows her to stop managing the connection from a place of fear. Listen, if these first 2 psychological secrets are already blowing your mind, you need to smash that like button right now. This is the kind of forbidden female psychology that most women would never want you to know. Hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to reveal in the next 11 points will completely transform how you understand women. And if this is helping you make sense of her confusing behavior, share this with other men who need to see the truth. Trust me, they'll thank you later. But this next psychological trigger is where things get really dark. Number 3, the Worthiness Test Spiral. This is where we become absolutely ruthless, and most men have no idea it's even happening. We'll unconsciously test whether you'll chase us when we pull away, or if you have the backbone to stay strong. It's our twisted way of figuring out if you're actually worthy of our real feelings. I used to do this constantly and didn't even realize it. I'd create these elaborate scenarios, act uninterested, mention other guys, cancel plans last minute, all to see how you'd react. If you chased me, begged for my attention, or got jealous and possessive, you'd fail the test. I'd lose respect for you instantly because weak men can't handle strong women. Here's the 6th psychology. We need to know you won't crumble under pressure. We're testing your masculine frame, your confidence, your ability to lead. When we act distant or difficult, we're asking, will this man stay solid or will he become needy and desperate? Most guys fail this test spectacularly by trying harder when we pull back. The winning move? Don't play the game. When she's testing you with distance or attitude, maintain your own energy and plans. Don't cancel your life to chase her mood. Respond with calm confidence. Cool. Let me know when you figure out what you want. Then go live your life. Show her that your happiness doesn't depend on her validation. When you consistently pass these tests by not taking the bait, something incredible happens. She stops testing you because you've proven you're unshakable. The worthiness spiral ends because you've demonstrated the exact masculine strength she was looking for all along. But what happens when the feelings get too intense is even more destructive. Number 4, the emotional overwhelm escape. When our feelings for you become too intense, too real, too all-consuming, our brain hits the panic button. It's like emotional flooding. We literally can't handle the intensity of what we're feeling, so we run. We escape before we drown in our own emotions. I once had this moment with a guy where I realized I was falling hard, like scary hard. We were just talking, and he said something that made me feel so seen, so understood, that I felt this rush of emotion I couldn't control. My immediate reaction? I had to get out of there. I made up an excuse and left, then didn't text him for 3 days because I was terrified of how much I was feeling. Our brains aren't wired to handle intense positive emotions any better than negative ones. When we feel ourselves falling too fast, loving too hard, wanting you too much, it triggers our fight or flight response. We'll literally create physical and emotional distance because the feelings are overwhelming our system. It's not about you. It's about our inability to process that level of emotional intensity. When she disappears after an intense moment, don't chase her or demand explanations. Send one simple message. I understand if you need space to process. I'm not going anywhere. Then give her room to breathe without making her feel guilty for needing it. Don't take her overwhelm personally or try to force her back before she's ready. When you give her space without withdrawing your affection, when you let her process intense emotions without punishment, she learns that intense feelings are safe with you. She stops running from emotional depth because you've shown her you can handle her at her most vulnerable. But the next trigger is what destroys most relationships before they even have a chance. Number 5, the future fear factor. This is the relationship killer that most men never see coming. The moment we start picturing a real future with you, meeting your family, moving in together, building something permanent, terror sets in. We start sabotaging the relationship to avoid the responsibility and commitment that future represents. I destroyed what could have been the love of my life because of this exact fear. He started talking about introducing me to his parents, and instead of feeling excited, felt trapped. Suddenly, I was picking apart everything about him, finding reasons why it wouldn't work, creating problems where none existed. I convinced myself I was too young to settle down, when really I was just terrified of the forever he was offering. Here's what's happening. The bigger the future looks with you, the bigger the potential loss becomes. A casual relationship ending hurts for a few weeks, but losing someone you've built a life with, that's devastating. So we unconsciously sabotage before we get too deep, before the stakes get too high. We'd rather hurt now than be destroyed later. When she starts pulling back after relationship talks or future planning, don't pressure her or demand explanations. Address her fears directly without making her feel cornered. I can see this feels overwhelming. We don't need to figure everything out right now. Take the pressure off the future and focus on enjoying the present moment together. When you remove the pressure and let the future unfold naturally, when you show her that commitment doesn't mean losing herself, the fear dissolves. She stops running from forever because you've made it feel like freedom instead of a prison. But this next psychological trigger is where women get absolutely vicious. Number 6, the attention competition complex. This is where we get absolutely ruthless and manipulative. We'll deliberately create competition to test your loyalty and see how much you really want us. We'll flirt with other guys in front of you, mention ex-boyfriends, or suddenly become friends with men who clearly want more, all to see if you'll fight for us. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I used to deliberately talk about other guys who were interested in me just to see how my boyfriend would react. I'd mention how my coworker asked me out, or how my ex texted me, not because I was interested, but because I needed to know he cared enough to be bothered by it. I was addicted to seeing that flash of jealousy in his eyes. Here's the sick psychology. We need constant proof that you choose us over everyone else. We create fake competition because your reaction tells us everything about how much we matter to you. If you get jealous, we feel powerful. If you don't care, we feel worthless. It's a twisted validation game where we manufacture threats to test your commitment level. Don't take the bait. When she mentions other guys or tries to make you jealous, stay calm and confident. Respond with something like, "Sounds like you have options. Let me know if you want to explore them." Don't get possessive or insecure, but also don't pretend you don't care. Show quiet confidence that you're the best choice without needing to compete. When your security doesn't waver in the face of her competition games, when you remain the steady choice without being threatened, she stops creating fake rivalry. The attention games end because you've proven you're unshakable, regardless of her manipulation tactics. Drop a comment if you've seen this pattern, but the next trigger goes even deeper into our psyche. Number 7, the independence identity crisis. This is where we panic about losing ourselves in the relationship. The closer we get to you, the more we fear becoming that girl who disappears into her boyfriend's life. We start pulling away, not because we don't love you, but because we're terrified of losing our individual identity in the process. I remember being with this amazing guy who wanted to spend every free moment together. At first, it felt incredible, but then I started panicking. I looked around and realized I hadn't seen my friends in weeks. I'd stopped doing my hobbies, and I was planning my entire schedule around him. I felt like I was disappearing, so I created distance to find myself again, which really meant I was running from my own choices. We've been taught that strong women maintain their independence, that losing yourself in a relationship makes you weak and codependent. So when we catch ourselves prioritizing you over everything else, when we notice we're becoming we instead of me, it triggers this identity crisis. We pull away to prove to ourselves and everyone else that we're still our own person. Support her independence instead of fighting it. When she needs girl time or wants to pursue her own interests, encourage it genuinely. That sounds amazing. Have fun. Don't guilt her for having a life outside of you. Show her that loving you doesn't mean losing herself by actively supporting her individual growth and friendships. When you demonstrate that being with you actually enhances her individuality instead of threatening it, the identity crisis resolves. She realizes she can be both independent and connected, that loving you doesn't require sacrificing who she is. But this next psychological pattern is the most self-destructive of all. Number 8. The perfect moment sabotage. This is the most twisted psychological pattern of all. We'll literally destroy the best moments in the relationship because we can't believe they're real. When everything is going too well, when you're being too perfect, when life feels too good, we'll create chaos to bring it back down to a level we can trust. I once sabotaged the most beautiful weekend of my life. We just had this incredible romantic getaway. Everything was perfect. He was amazing. I felt so loved and happy. And that terrified me. On the drive home, I picked a massive fight over something completely stupid because I couldn't handle how good everything felt. I destroyed our perfect moment because I was convinced it was too good to be true. Here's the sick psychology. If we've been hurt before, happiness feels dangerous. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop, so we drop it ourselves to regain control. We'd rather destroy something beautiful on our terms than wait for it to be destroyed by someone else. It's emotional self-harm. We hurt ourselves before you can hurt us. When she creates drama after perfect moments, don't take the bait or get pulled into the chaos. Stay calm and call out what's really happening. We just had an amazing time together, and now you're picking a fight. Are you scared of how good this feels? Address the fear behind the sabotage, not the surface-level drama she's creating. When you refuse to let her destroy beautiful moments, when you protect the good times from her own fear-based sabotage, she learns that happiness is safe with you. She stops destroying perfect moments because you've shown her they're real and they're hers to keep. But what happens after intimacy is even more destructive to relationships. Number 9, the intimacy allergy response. This is where we become absolutely brutal after moments of deep connection. The closer we get physically and emotionally, the more we panic and create distance. It's like we're allergic to intimacy. The more we experience it, the stronger our need to escape becomes. I'll never forget this one night with a guy I was falling for. We had incredible physical intimacy, but more than that, we connected on this deep emotional level afterward. We talked for hours, shared our deepest fears, and I felt completely safe and seen. The next morning, I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I made excuses, avoided his calls for days, and acted like it never happened because the vulnerability terrified me. Here's what's happening. Intimacy creates vulnerability hangovers. After we open up completely, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we wake up feeling exposed and raw. We start spiraling, thinking we revealed too much, gave away too much power, became too vulnerable. So we retreat, put walls back up, and act cold to protect ourselves from that level of openness. After intimate moments, don't chase her or demand she stay open. Give her space to process without making her feel guilty about needing it. Send a simple message. Last night was beautiful. No pressure. Just wanted you to know. Don't make her intimacy about your ego or take her withdrawal as rejection of the connection you shared. When you normalize intimacy without making it about you, when you let her process vulnerability without punishment, she stops associating closeness with danger. She learns that opening up to you is safe because you don't use her vulnerability against her or demand it on your timeline. But this next trigger is all about how others see her with you. Number 10, the social status protection mode. This is where we care more about how the relationship looks to others than how it actually feels to us. We'll pull away from amazing men because we're terrified of looking desperate, needy, or like we're settling in front of our friends, family, or social media followers. I once ended things with a guy I was crazy about because my friends kept asking why I was so obsessed with him. He wasn't conventionally attractive or wealthy enough for their standards, and their constant questions made me second-guess everything. I chose their approval over my own happiness because I was terrified of being judged for loving someone they didn't think was good enough for me. Here's the twisted reality. We'd rather be single and respected than coupled and judged. We're terrified of our friends thinking we're desperate, of family members questioning our choices, of looking like we need a man. So we'll sabotage genuine connections to maintain our image as strong, independent women who have high standards and options. Don't try to win over her social circle or prove your worth to them. Instead, make her feel proud to choose you publicly. Be confident in who you are without needing their validation. When she expresses concerns about others' opinions, respond with, "I'm not dating them. I'm dating you. What do you actually want?" Put the focus back on her real feelings, not social pressure. When you show her that your worth isn't determined by others' opinions, when you make her feel secure in choosing you regardless of social judgment, the status fears dissolve. She stops caring what others think because she's confident in what she has with you. Share this if it's opened your eyes. But this next psychological pattern will blow your mind. Number 11, the emotional availability paradox. This is the most backwards psychology of all. We want you most when you're least available, and we lose interest when you're completely available to us. The men who are busy, focused on their own lives, and not constantly chasing us become irresistible, while the guys who make us their whole world become boring and suffocating. I was completely obsessed with this guy who barely had time for me. He was building his business, had his own goals, and I had to fight for his attention. Meanwhile, there was another guy who worshipped me, always available, constantly texting, ready to drop everything for me, and I couldn't have been less interested. I craved the unavailable one precisely because he was unavailable. Here's the sick truth. Scarcity creates desire. When you're always available, always responding immediately, always prioritizing us over everything else, we subconsciously categorize you as low value. But when you have your own life, your own priorities, when we have to earn your time and attention, suddenly you become the prize we need to win. Maintain your own life, regardless of how much you like her. Don't drop your friends, hobbies, or goals to revolve around her schedule. Be genuinely busy with things that matter to you. When she texts, respond when it's convenient for you, not immediately. Show her that while you enjoy her company, your happiness doesn't depend on her constant attention. When you remain emotionally available but not constantly accessible, when you stay interested but not desperate, she stops taking you for granted. She starts valuing your time and attention because you've shown her it's valuable by protecting it. But this next trigger is where women become absolutely toxic. Number 12, the control through chaos method. This is where we become absolutely toxic and manipulative. We'll deliberately create drama, pick fights, manufacture problems, and stir up emotional chaos because it gives us control over the relationship dynamic. When everything is calm and stable, we feel powerless, so we create storms to regain control. I used to be a master at this, and I'm ashamed to admit it. Whenever my relationship felt too peaceful, too stable, I'd find something to fight about. I'd bring up old issues, create jealousy scenarios, or pick apart his behavior until we were in full emotional chaos. Why? Because when he was trying to fix things, comfort me, or win me back, I felt powerful and in control again. Here's the twisted psychology. Chaos feels familiar to many of us. especially if we grew up in unstable environments. Peace feels boring, unpredictable, even dangerous, because we don't know when it will end. So we create the chaos ourselves because at least then we're controlling it. We'd rather have dramatic passion than calm love because drama feels like intensity, and intensity feels like love. Don't get pulled into her emotional storms or try to fix every problem she creates. Stay calm in the chaos. When she's being dramatic, respond with, "I can see you're upset." When you're ready to talk calmly, "I'm here." Don't reward the chaos with attention, but don't punish her for it either. Just refuse to participate in the drama. When your energy doesn't shift based on her emotional weather, when you remain steady regardless of the storm she creates, the chaos stops working. She realizes that creating drama doesn't give her the control or attention she was seeking, so she stops manufacturing problems. But the final psychological trigger is the most dangerous of all. Number 13, the love capacity overload. This is the final and most dangerous trigger. When we realize we actually love you completely, when our feelings become real and permanent, we panic and pull away because we've never learned how to handle love that deep. We literally don't have the emotional capacity to process loving someone that much. I'll never forget the moment I realized I was completely, desperately, terrifyingly in love with someone. Not just infatuated, not just attracted, but soul-deep, life-changing love. And my immediate reaction was to run. I broke up with him 2 weeks later because I was so overwhelmed by the intensity of what I felt. I'd rather lose him on my terms than risk being destroyed by loving him completely. Here's the brutal truth. Most of us have never been taught how to handle real love. We're experts at playing games, creating drama, maintaining distance. But when genuine, deep, transformative love shows up, we short-circuit. Our emotional system overloads because we've never developed the capacity to hold that much feeling for another person. When she pulls away after saying she loves you, or after moments of deep connection, don't chase or demand explanations. Give her space to process these overwhelming feelings while staying consistent. "I understand this feels intense. I'm not going anywhere while you figure this out." Show her that her love is safe with you by being patient with her processing time. When you prove that her deepest love is safe with you, when you don't rush her emotional processing or take her overwhelm personally, something beautiful happens. She learns that loving someone completely doesn't have to be terrifying. It can be the safest thing she's ever done with the right man. Now that you understand all 13 psychological triggers, here's what changes everything. You stop being the victim of her psychology and become the master of your own response. Every single behavior that used to confuse you now makes perfect sense. Her withdrawal, her testing, her chaos, her overwhelm, it's all just fear wearing different masks. The most powerful realization is this: she's not broken, and you don't need to fix her. These psychological patterns exist because she's protecting something precious: her heart, her vulnerability, her capacity to love deeply. When you understand that her resistance is actually evidence of how much you matter to her, everything shifts. You become the man who doesn't chase when she pulls away, doesn't react when she tests you, doesn't get pulled into her chaos, and doesn't take her overwhelm personally. You become steady, unshakable, the calm center of her emotional storm. This is what she's been searching for all along: a man strong enough to handle her psychology without being controlled by it. If these 13 dark psychology secrets have transformed how you see women forever, smash that like button and subscribe for more forbidden insights into the female mind. Share this with any man who's tired of being confused by the woman he cares about.